What's up, guys? Making observations here, reporting in. Finally getting around to reviewing the Philster Floodlight series of holsters. I think the best way to do that is to just compare them directly to two T-Rex Arms holsters. Not for T-Rex Arms specifically, but because they're two holsters dedicated for a gun instead of kind of a, one-size-fits-all holster. Here's our gun, FN 509 Tactical, And so let's get into the review here. All right, so let's talk about inside the waistband first, because it's going to be easier that way. And I'm going to talk about pros before I talk about cons, because that's kind of going to lead me into my final thoughts better. All right, so obviously we're going to just ignore the mag cattiness of the T-Rex Arms holster. Probably could have taken that off and put just the wing on, but didn't really feel like doing that. So let's talk about pros first. Pros for this Philster Floodlight is you purchase this. These are both for the TLR1. Purchase this holster, and then any gun you slap your TLR1 on is going to fit in this holster. I mean, pretty much. I don't think I can really find a gun that it wouldn't fit. All right, and then another pro, it's thick AF Kydex. You can kind of get the thickness difference here. These sidecars are extremely durable holsters, so you, I guess, can only imagine how having a significantly thicker Kydex would make this even more durable. If you're wondering about how long I've been reviewing these holsters, when I started, my puppy looked like this, and now he looks like this. So that should give you a good idea. About 9 months. And that's about all the pros I can honestly think of choosing a Floodlight over a dedicated holster. Some just good things in general about the Floodlight. I'll try to I haven't filmed that much B-roll for this review, but I'll try to throw some up on the screen. It conceals really well. When you have it in the waistband, I know this looks extremely sus, but when you have it between your pants and your belt, and with the gun in it, it sandwiches pretty good. You're running around, your gun's not going to eject. It conceals pretty well. Maybe I'll just show you one right quick, just in case I don't have the B-roll. And the wing is pretty effective. I like the two clips set up right next to each other. It's set up nicely. All right, just so you can see right quick. I mean, this is what a shitty angle. What a good YouTuber I am. Jesus. This is a pretty tight shirt. Looks pretty good. So, even though it's a giant holster, it conceals pretty well. All right, so rounding out the pros of the inside the waistband, it's laid out well, 2 clips, wing, that's nice. You can adjust the height. It can eat any gun with a TLR1 on it, so that's pretty awesome. It's pretty dang durable. You can't flex this thing at all. I'm sure you could if you really tried. And pros of choosing this over another holster, that's going to round it out. Getting into the cons, first up, you are carrying around a significant amount of holster extra. Sneak this in here. So as you can see, the barrel ends, and we've got... Barrel's going to end right about here. All this is extra, which some people is like, that doesn't matter. Other people are going to say, yeah, that's a good bit of extra holster to be carrying in your waistband for potentially 12 hours. Let's get into the T-Rex Arms here. I'm a big fan of the T-Rex Arms holsters. Yeah, we're really shaving nanometers here, aren't we? Pretty much ends right where it needs to. It doesn't look like it's that much more, but it is. It is. If we line it up like this, you can see there's about that much more in your pants. So over time, that's really going to matter, especially depending on your build. I personally am a smaller framed, skinny dude. So it does make a difference to me, and I think we can all agree that having an extra ½ inch in your pants is quite significant. All right, another con is going to be retention. Excuse that for a moment. As you can see, the custom fitted T-Rex Arms Kydex holster Also, tightened down to a level I like. Is very tight. And now the Floodlight is also pretty tight. However, you cannot, I mean, asterisks, you could re-knot this to only give, you can adjust this, but it's kind of a pain. And especially since the reason you're buying it, hopefully, is because multiple guns are going to be going in here, be an absolute pain to undo these really tight knots every time. T-Rex Arms holster or other custom Kydex holsters, you just tighten these screws or loosen these screws and your gun will be more or less tight. I don't have anything visually to show for this next con, so I'll make it quick. Price. Philster has this listed currently at time of video for $128 on their website. T-Rex Arms has the base model of a sidecar, which would not give you this Mad Caddy, I believe. However, it gives you the same thing you would get with this for $100. So for basically $30 cheaper, you can get a holster custom fitted to your gun. I kind of understand the price because they did have to design a holster that will fit basically every pistol with this light on it. However, if you're only buying this for one pistol, it is definitely a better deal and option to go for the T-Rex Arms. Now this might just be with my particular Floodlight, but I've noticed that the screws and everything just loosens up a lot more often than other holsters. I don't really know why that is. Part of me thinks it's because there's a lot of motion going on when you insert a firearm into this thing. I'm not sure, but these screws specifically here on this clip, I wonder if it's loose enough right now. They just they work loose a lot easier. And I know a lot of people are going to say just Loctite it. True, however, this is meant to be a modular holster, which I do use for multiple firearms. And just Loctiting something down is kind of like, kind of goes against the idea of the holster, perhaps. Like, you're supposed to be able to just start jamming random guns in here, go to your range day for your YouTube video and film, you know, with 30 different guns with the TLR1 on them. They're all supposed to just fit. You're just supposed to be good to go, you know what I mean? So, just mention of that. Yours might not ever work their way out, and it's not like it's every day. So, not that big a deal, just thought I'd mention it. And that's enough of this garbage. Let's talk about outside the waistband. Alright, so we're going to start with not a pro or a con, but just mentioning that it is awesome that this will accept a QLS fork without any modification. I think it's pretty understood that Safariland mounting options are the go-to, so it is nice that they accommodate that. Although, again, the T-Rex Arms holster does as well, so it's not like it's anything crazy that they do, but it is nice. Alright, and then also, the way the outside the waistband accommodates multiple guns instead of a very strange but cool shot cord system are these spacers here. You get 3 sets of them when you get your holster, and you just pick one that's going to go with whatever gun, whatever the width of your slide is, because the width of the light area will always just be TLR1. And it's cool because it works for most guns. But also, it is kind of, I don't know how they would design, I'm not an engineer, but it would be really cool if they could design some system that works like this, because this will accept pretty much any gun. If there's some that it doesn't, I apologize, but this can expand very far. So as long as it has a rail, surely it can fit in there. However, you only get 3 different spacer sizes. This, I have it currently sized to the closest one I can find to fitting this well, so let's check out retention. Completely abandoning the pro-con thing, by the way. That's gone. That's gone. That's too much to do. Good retention, not gonna flambe out of there. It's in pretty good. There's no positive click or anything. It just slides in and out. But the friction is good enough to prevent my gun from launching out of there, or the holster from launching in this case. So I have the T-Rex arms extremely tight. I like my holsters really tight. Not tight enough to impede a draw, but close enough to it. And the T-Rex arms has a more, what's the wording? What's good wording? So it really only clamps onto your gun very hard, right when it's where it needs to be. Whereas the Philster is pretty much a gradual clamping. Maybe you can see if I like slowly remove it. Okay, so let's see if this demonstration is going in the video, or if I'm cutting it. You see what's going on here? You see what I'm saying? Okay, so sorry to go on that painful tangent. But basically, this is going to retain pretty well if you have the right spacers. But the positive lock I receive on a holster like this Ragnarok, with it at the bottom, it's very snug and it requires it's very snug. This cannot get any more tight because of these spacers. They're as tight as they're gonna get. So this is the max level of retention I am stuck at, which is pretty good. I won't lie, it's good retention for this particular firearm. But I like to be able to adjust my retention, and I also like the fact that I can get this at the level of retention that I really like out of a holster. And I just basically wish this had as good of retention as this, although it is still good and usable. Pro of this over this holster, it's ambi. You can just undo all these screws, put it on this side, mount it on the other side of your war belt. So that's pretty sick. You do have to order left or right hand with the T-Rex arms, and I believe basically every other custom holster. A lot less to say about the outside the waistband, because the spacers basically make it to where it's going to fit several guns very well. I'm sure there are some that won't line up great with any of the spacers, and I think they have a list of them on their website that it's just going to be very suspect retention. Whoa! Spoiler alert. But I like the outside the waistband as an option for someone who only has one gun better than the inside the waistband. And now let's talk about price really quickly. This is $128 again, same price. This holster is $70. Multicam Black was a little extra. Roast that in the comments. That's a significantly bigger deal. If you have multiple guns with TLR1s, or that you can switch the TLR1 to, maybe this is the option for you. However, 130 bucks, basically, versus 70, you're probably better off if you have two guns that take TLR1s or whatever light you choose, and you can swap between them and that doesn't bother you. You're probably better off just getting two Ragnaroks. Okay, I have a significantly better demo of retention. So, this is the Philster Floodlight, and as you can see, it's kind of a gradual, there's no lock. It just goes, it's the bottom, it's just a smooth in and out. Ragnarok. You see what I'm saying here? We have a lock. You can see that I'm pulling up. The holster is flexing outward because I'm pulling up. And then it lets go of your gun completely. Right here, there's nothing. Nothing even here, really. Now it's in. And it's in. I prefer that much better than the more gradual Philster Floodlight action here. Again. I hope that was somewhat helpful. All right, in summation here, closing thoughts are beginning now. I prefer my holsters personally to grip my firearm like your dad white-knuckling the steering wheel on the slow ride home from the soccer game that you did terribly at. And the floodlights don't really do that for me. The inside the waistband isn't that bad because between the bungee cord, your belt, and your waist, it actually helps to keep the firearm quite secure. Outside the waistband, however, I do prefer a more positive, quote, click. Even though the T-Rex Arms Ragnarok doesn't have a crazy loud click, it still does feel like you're locking in your firearm. The floodlight really does just feel like it's something clamping on your firearm and not crazy tight. And due to the spacer system, I can't actually make this any tighter than it is. You can really bear down on the screws. They are made of rubber. You can really clamp down on them. You can maybe get it a bit tighter, but not really. These are as tight as it'll get. I can really only recommend the floodlights if you have a lot of guns and you'd like to just mess around at the range. You don't plan on using them as duty holsters or self-defense holsters or anything like that. Or you're a YouTuber like myself and you just have to do a lot of different... You want to be able to put a lot of different guns in your holsters for reviews or videos. And it is nice that if my friend has a railed pistol, I can just put a TLR-1 on it and then I'm good to go to film with it inside and outside the waistband for the most part. Just about the only thing these holsters actually excel at, in quotes, is for guns like the Palmetto State Armory Dagger 9, P80s, or other weird guns that don't have a lot of holster support. They're a pretty good substitute for something more expensive. So maybe it would cost a lot to get the Palmetto State Armory Dagger 9 holster you really want. Or maybe, some random gun like Palmetto State Armory's 5.7. Sorry, they're just on my mind right now for some reason. But you could probably make these fit in these holsters, and it might be cheaper than getting something custom made from a custom shop. Although at $130, maybe not. However, if you are looking for recommendations for a holster for your carry gun, and you don't have a ton of guns, you don't plan on swapping all the time, don't go with a floodlight. There are better options. These are good holsters for what they were designed for, but just a custom holster is just going to be strictly better. Okay, now for the final pro. I made a YouTube shorts about this a while ago, but I don't know who all watched that. This is a HK USP 45, and it actually fits with a TLR 3 on it, and it fits into the Philster floodlight inside the waistband, just like really nicely. And so if you're the type of guy who wants to inside the waistband carry a HK USP 45, you can with this. This is the only time I'd recommend buying this holster for one gun, because you're just not going to find another holster without spending a lot of money, I believe, that will accommodate HK USP 45 with light bearing. Alright, that should do it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully I was able to find enough B-roll to make this not horrible to look at. I apologize for how long this review's taking me. I promised it a while ago, but lately when I've been getting to the range, I just don't really feel like filming, and I just want to practice and get better. And I find it's hard for me to do that when I'm trying to film something specific. So like and subscribe, guys. Drop comments. I've used these both a good bit. So, oh, sorry, my dog is bothering me. So if you have questions, I can answer them in the comments, or worst case, I can go and just try out whatever you ask. So appreciate you guys liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.